What if Marvel turned this series around and started making good episodes? Episode 4 of What If has delivered for a second straight episode with the question, what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? The episode starts out the same as it always does, with the Watcher's monologue. Then he says, "We have watched how one moment, one choice can ripple across space and time, giving birth to new stories, heroes, whole universes. But what if it's the wrong choice? What if the best of intentions has very strange consequences?" While the Watcher talks, Strange is driving. He arrives at his destination, gets out in a suit, opens the car door, and waits. Christine walks out all dressed up and gets in. They're going to do a celebration for Strange, since he performed a successful hemispherectomy, whatever that means. They end up behind a slow truck. Strange tries to go around it by going into the opposite lane, but a car ends up driving towards them. He's somehow able to slam on the brakes and drift back into the other lane like something straight out of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Steven!
Strange is calming her down when a car comes speeding up behind them and rear-ends them. I don't know if this is the same one or not, but I assume it is, since it wouldn't make much sense for another car to drive like that. Regardless, they fall off the cliff like in the Doctor Strange movie, and instead of Strange's hands getting hurt, he's absolutely fine, other than a bruise on his forehead, some scratches by some miracle. But Christine isn't. She's dead. When this happened, I got interested. In the movie, when he lashes out at her and they break up, he immediately regrets it and does so throughout the movie, until they get back together. We see a shot of her funeral, and the Watcher says,
"In this universe, Stephen Strange didn't lose his hands, but his heart."
He recaps the events of the movie, which pretty much stayed the same minus Christine. It doesn't make sense that he would seek them out. The reason he did it before was that he was looking for ways to fix his hands when he found a story of a man who was able to walk again after being paralyzed. He wouldn't have gone there over his broken heart. That's ridiculous. After the recap, he has a flashback of an old memory of his with her, while holding the Eye of Agamotto, or the necklace with the time stone. Wong walks up to him and talks. Strange says it's been 2 years to the day since the accident. He sees the necklace and tells Strange he's going to start the kettle, and that he should join him before he does something reckless. Wong leaves and Strange decides to use the time stone. He tries to save Christine by not trying to go around the truck, but they still get rear-ended and go off the cliff, and she still dies. He then keeps trying different things, but she gets killed regardless of what he does. The Ancient One appears and says,
"I'm sorry, but I can't. No one can. Her death is an absolute point in time.
Absolute.
Unchangeable, unmovable."
By this she means this guy said so. He says he needs more power, and the Ancient One tries to convince him not to do it. He starts to use the time stone and the Ancient One fires a beam at it to seemingly try to destroy it. He teleports back in time to a jungle. A man finds him, and Strange tries to ask where the lost library of Cagliostro is. He doesn't respond and walks away. Strange follows, and he leads him to the library. He teleports to it since it's up high, and a rune appears. He uses his magic to get rid of it, but as he walks forward, a bunch of them appear, and he falls down a hole from a height that should have killed him, but it's Marvel. This is expected in every single thing they make. The man walks up to him, and this happens.
You have to be the strangest dressed sorcerer I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's Armani.
This causes him to call Strange Armani for the episode. He says his name is Obeng, and he's the librarian for the books of Cagliostro. A door opens up, and the library is revealed. Strange uses his powers to make a bunch of books float around him. He goes through some of them and finds one on time manipulation. The book says, "The power required to break an absolute point is immense, and nigh impossible to obtain," and "gain the power through absorption of other beings." Strange uses his powers to make a monster that looks like the Hydra from the first episode, but it could be something else, appear. He tries to talk to it, but the monster grabs him and throws him around. He wakes up being tended to by Obeng. He tells Strange,
There is a fine line between devotion and delusion. Love can break more than your heart. It can shatter your mind.
Strange goes back and tries it again. He starts small with a gnome and absorbs him. He keeps working his way through monsters. They get bigger and bigger. We actually see the Watcher this time. He says, quote, "He's on the wrong path. I could warn him, intervene, but the fate of his universe isn't worth risking the safety of all others. Besides, I doubt he'd listen." Then this happens.
Hello? Who's there?
Strange could hear him. The Watcher was actually there. We've been seeing the Watcher more and more each episode, and we see him even more later. Strange continues. We see a time lapse that gives us an idea of how long he's been doing this for. We see the sun setting and rising, and the terrain changing. He summons the tentacle monster, and he absorbs him. Strange is finally done. He goes back to Obeng, and he sees him old and dying, and this happens.
Oh, Bang. What happened to you?
Time, Sorcerer Armani.
Strange opens the eye of Agamotto, but Obeng tells him not to do it. He says that Strange used magic to freeze himself in time for centuries, and he chose to live. He says, even in our world, death is part of the plan. Strange says he can't accept that. Obeng says he knows, but maybe the other Strange will. Then Obeng says this.
Can't you see? You're only half a man, living half alive.
Obeng dies. I thought this part was really cool. It shows how much he loved Christine and how far he was willing to go to save her, and how crazy he became to figure out how. It also had really cool animation and imagery. When he absorbs the enemies, he kinda turns into the monster for a few seconds. The Watcher says, it was true, he wasn't alone. He wasn't even the only Doctor Strange in this universe. And we go back to the moment Doctor Strange was talking to Wong on the second anniversary of the accident. Instead of using the Time Stone, he decides to take Wong's advice. He goes outside and the world is disappearing, or dematerializing. I'm not sure how to describe it. The Ancient One comes through a portal. She's a psychic impression sent through a splinter in reality, since she's dead at that point in time. Think of it as a Force ghost, but a little different. She tells him what's going on, and that she split the timeline by firing the beam at the Time Stone earlier. If the crazy Doctor Strange succeeds, it will destroy the universe. She says the only sorcerer that can save Doctor Strange is Doctor Strange, and disappears. Wong is helping him cast a spell when he asks him,
But do you want to stop him? Weren't you in love with this Christine?
I think I have to. At the very least, to save you.
While they're casting the spell, the crazy Doctor Strange summons the normal one. Doctor Strange appears and asks where he is. And the crazy Doctor Strange, who the subtitles call Supreme Strange, comes out of the shadows and says,
The question is, when are you? Do not be frightened, old friend, for we are one and the same.
he looks like he's aged now, unlike a few minutes ago. Supreme Strange tries to convince Regular Strange to help him. Regular Strange tells him the world is being destroyed, and Supreme Strange calls him a liar and takes him to the crash. Regular Strange stands his ground, and Supreme Strange tries to absorb him, but Regular Strange blocks it. They fight. Eventually, the Regular Strange fires a beam at Supreme Strange, which causes an explosion. Everything goes dark, and an orb starts floating, shining light on Strange. Instead of his shadow appearing, it's the Watcher's, and Strange gets pulled into the shadow. Christine appears in front of him. She tries to convince him, but he resists, and Supreme Strange appears in her place. They continue fighting. Supreme Strange kills regular Strange and absorbs him. He opens the Eye of Agamotto and it explodes, causing him to turn into an unrecognizable monster. The car comes apart, and what looks like Christine's spirit floats into his arms. She comes back to life, and when she wakes up, she freaks out after seeing Strange. The piece of land they're on breaks away and floats into the air. Strange also turns back to Strange Supreme. The universe is closing in on them, and Strange fires beams to stop it. He yells out to the Watcher for him to stop this. Strange says the world shouldn't pay for his arrogance and tells the Watcher that he's a god and can stop this. He responds with, "I'm not a god, and neither are you." Strange tells the Watcher to punish him instead, and he says if he could, he would, but he can't interfere. And he, of all people, should understand that meddling with time and events only leads to more destruction. The Watcher leaves. The universe closes, but leaves just enough room for them. A sphere that looks like a disco ball forms around them. Christine dematerializes.
Stephen, what did you do?
And he's left alone for what seems to be for as long as he lives. The Watcher says,
One life, one choice, one moment can destroy the entire universe.
I thought the episode was really good. It's definitely the best episode by far. The only problem I had with it was that if he didn't hurt his hands, then he wouldn't have sought them out. Other than that, I thought it was fantastic. The acting was good all around. Every character was voiced by their original actors. Benedict Cumberbatch was great. He pulled off the normal Doctor Strange voice and made Supreme Strange sound menacing, and he really differentiates the two. For the limited time he was in it, Ike Mahdi was good as Obang. He's a new character, so he didn't have anything to work off of. He sounded like he would fit right into the movie. I liked how the Watcher interacted with Strange in this episode. That exchange was great. The rest sounded like they normally would too. None of them changed their voices for the animation. In the other episodes, some of them would, and it just doesn't work. Or they would have different voice actors and are hit or miss. Having everyone return for this one really helped. The imagery in this episode was incredible. The different things they did with it was crazy. The way he would sort of change into the things he absorbed, the way things were dematerializing, the way the world was breaking around them, Christine's spirit floating, and the car coming apart, the illusions, their powers, it was just astonishing. I'm not the biggest fan of the animation style in this series, but it didn't matter in this one. It captured the uniqueness of the effects and visuals of the movie. I wasn't sure what to expect when I heard the question, but I love what I got. I loved seeing what happens if he does interfere with time. His descent into madness was so interesting to watch. He wouldn't stop until he couldn't go any further. Showing the time lapse and having Obang grow old was a great way to present it. And the way his appearance changed really helped show that as well. The end was incredible. I already went over the imagery, but having the two strangers argue with each other was really interesting. When he realized how badly he fucked up and pleaded with the Watcher to do something, I thought it was really powerful. This episode really shows what they can do if they just leave identity politics out of it. The last one showed a little bit of that, but this one blew it out of the water. They have so many interesting stories to tell, but they've decided to completely ignore those and go down the identity politics route. They're hiring people with no experience, who don't care about the source material, and only care about pushing an agenda. It's really sad to see the potential Marvel has that they're ignoring and abandoning. This does give me a little more hope for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but I fear that this was what if Marvel focused on good storytelling. What'd you think about the episode? Like it, love it, hate it? Let me know. But thanks for watching. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, comment, share. I have another channel called The Thoughtful Outlaw Sports, where I talk about basketball, baseball, football, and anything else sports related I'm interested in. So check that out if you're interested, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.